Hi everyone. In this video we are going to talk about XML. Previously we talked about HTML and we realized that HTML is not good enough for content. It's a good technology for creating websites that are meant to be used by us as humans, so we can go on the web and browse the web and read the content of the different web pages. But it's not good for creating documents that are meant to be read and understood by computers. So computers can do things for us. For instance, make links and connections between different data and process them and do other things. So HTML, it was more about appearance and structure, partly structure than content, and tags that it had, like tags for paragraph, for block code, for bold and heading 1 and heading 2 and so on. They didn't tell us or tell computer much about the content. Computers cannot understand the content of HTML files, and HTML was limited and too permissive. It ignores a lot of mistakes and errors in codings and still processes the document and shows the content of the web pages because we as humans are supposed to go there and read the documents. That's why we need XML, which is Extensible Markup Language. It was developed by a small group led by John Bozak of Sun Microsystems, and then it became a World Wide Web Consortium recommendation in February 1998. It's a method for encoding text and other electronic material, and it encodes the structure of the document, not its appearance, which was the focus of HTML. And it is independent from software and hardware, so it doesn't depend on any machine or any application or software, and it separates the data from the software. And that's the power of XML. So what is XML? XML is a simple syntax for defining a markup scheme. So basically, unlike HTML that we had a predefined set of tags that we were supposed to use, there is no predefined tags in XML. We have to create our own tags. So basically XML is a markup language to create other markup languages. So in XML we are able to create elements, attributes, entities, and document structures. So XML documents are text documents, either Unicode or ASCII documents, with .xml extension. So they are plain text document. You can open them with a browser or with Notepad or something like that. Unlike HTML, XML is case sensitive. So if you create a tag and open the tag with all lowercase like title and close the tag with a title T capital, then XML will consider it completely two separate tags. It will not understand that this is the closing and opening of the same tags. It will consider them as two different tags, and it will result in an error. All of the XML documents, like HTML document, they start with the declaration line that tells the application or the computer or the software that reads the file that this is an XML file. And that's how we do it. So it says XML version 1 encoding UTF-8, which means this is a Unicode document, XML version 1. And XML document structures are like a tree structures. So they start with the root. We always have a tag or element that starts, it is in the beginning of the document and also appears at the end of the document. So we have a root element, and inside the root element we have another set of elements, and inside each element there might be other elements. That's why we call it a tree structure. Because as you can see in this example, for instance, we have customers, and inside the customers element, we might have another element called customer ID, and then contact name, and so on and so forth. So composed of nested structure, that's the meaning of nested, because one tag could be inside another tag. And some elements may also have attributes. And let's go to attributes. So attributes are things that modify an element, like here. So we have an element for name, which opens here and closes here, and it has a content which is London. But the element has an attribute which is type, and it modifies the element. We say the type of this name is a place name, and it's London. Attributes have a name and values. This is the name of the attribute, and this is the value of attribute. And the value is always in the quotation mark, like HTML. The same applies to HTML as well. The basic syntax of XML is that documents are composed of elements, and each element is a tag which has an opening and ending. And as it is case sensitive, so they should be written the same, and the best practice is to keep everything lowercase, unless we want something like last name, like sometimes you might write like this, last name, to make it easier for us to read. But we need to be consistent. So if the opening is like this, then the ending should be the same. Unlike HTML, end tags must be present. So we cannot open the tag and not close it. It results in an error. In HTML, if you forgot to close the tag, so if we remove these, still the browser would show the document to us, and it would not give an error. Elements are basically tags. So this is an element. Title. They can be repeated. They can be optional, so they can be present in the document. And if not, if they don't apply, we can remove them. Elements can contain other elements. Elements can contain only text and leaves of the trees. And elements can have mixed content, including text or other elements. We talked about attributes, and so let's see what we talked about. So we said that XML is extensible, meaning that we can use it to create other markup languages. If you go to Wikipedia and type list of XML markup languages, you get a long list of other markup languages that have been created using XML, and some of them would look familiar to you. For instance, we have here Mark XML that you can read about in the textbook. And Mark XML is basically a markup language using XML to turn marked documents and present them in XML language. The other technology is RSS. So you might be familiar with this. If you go to any blog like this web blog, you will see RSS, and RSS, you can subscribe to RSS, and what happens is that you will get notification from that blog every time there is a new post, and a summary or the full text of that blog post will come to your computer reader, whether it is your Outlook or browser, and you can see it. And an RSS is a document like this. So you can see this is an RSS document. It has a root element, which is RSS. Here opens here and closes here, and it is tree, so tree structure, we can decide to see part of the document. And then it has a set of tags, including the title, the description, the link, and item, and so on. And this is also Mark. So Mark is machine-readable catalog, and it has a few tags for the names of the field. For instance, 100 is used for author, and so when the computer reads a machine-readable catalog, when it reads the opening of the line, which is 100 and specific characters, then it realizes that what comes after is the author or creator of that catalog record, that information resource. So if we turn Mark into Mark XML, we can see an example of Mark XML record here. You can see again, it has a name, it has a root element, and then it has a few elements or tags, and elements have attributes such as this. So you can go and have a look at some of these other markup languages that have been created by using XML. And if you want to learn how to write XML, again, W3 Schools is the best place, one of the best places that you can go to learn about XML. Now let's create our own first XML document. So we create a plain text document and call it my XML, and then we open this. So the first thing we need in our XML document is the declaration line. So we have this declaration line here. We can copy paste this one. So the first line of the document is this line to tell the browser that this is browser or the application, that this is an XML document. Then we need the root element. Let's suppose I'm going to create a markup language to mark up my emails, and I decided that I'm going to have a few elements, including emails, including message for different emails that I sent, then sender, recipient, first name and surname for the recipients, the date of the email, subject of the email, and the body of the email. So the root element is going to be email. So I open the tag of email and close the tag of email at the end of the document. Inside my email, or let's say emails, I'm going to have a few emails. And now I'm going to use the tag message for that purpose. So I'm going to have one message which opens here and closes here, and one message is going to have a sender, is going to have a recipient, and recipient is going to have a first name and surname, and then the email is going to have a date and subject and body. So the sender will be Hamid, and the recipient will be, let's say, Mary, Carol, and then the date will be 12th of February or 2018, and the subject will be course material, and the body will be primary and some other text, right? This is the first message. So we can have a few messages or a few emails like this, and which means these elements will be repeated. Let's save this and then change the extension of this to XML. So this is our first XML document, and then we open this. So I'm going to open it with the browser. Open file. So there is a mistake here. Let's go back to the document to see what is the mistake. Notepad. It tells us that there is a mistake here. So you can see the mistake, that this is the data. It says data and this is date. And it gave me an error. You see here, it says parsing error, mismatched tag, expected data, but it saw date. So data and date are not the same, and that's why XML is very strict with the name of the tag. So if you fix this and save it and refresh this, then this is the first XML document we created. It has a header declaration that it doesn't show up here. It has a root element, which is emails, and it has one message, opens here and closes here, and one message has a sender and then recipient and date, subject, body, and so on. So I can repeat these messages and have hundreds of messages within that document. But as you can see, we don't want, the issue is that we don't want everyone to create their own tags, because there will be chaos. For instance, in this case, if other people decide to mark up their own emails, they may not choose the same emails, elements, for instance, or they may not put the information inside the elements the same way that I did. For instance, date could be written 12s, and then instead of this, it could be like this. Or somebody might decide instead of writing sender, they might write from. And that means there won't be consistency. So my marked up emails, documents will be different from somebody else. And that's not the point of XML. We want consistency so we can be exchanging data between different applications and between different sources of data. And especially because XML is supposed to play an important role in exchange of data and in interoperability and so on. To achieve that consistency, we have something called document type definition, or DTD. And DTD, or document type definition, basically is a document that specifies the rules for that markup language that we created with XML. It tells us in this markup language that I created for my emails, there only these set of tags are allowed. So we have a tag for message, body, from, or sender, and so on and so forth. And it also specifies what type of content or values we are allowed to put inside those elements. For instance, in the body, you can type any character, so it can be a text. But inside date, there needs to be a date in a specific format. It specifies what attributes elements can have, whether elements are optional, whether they can be repeated, and so on. So we define all of these rules about the markup language that we created in a document that we call a document type definition. And all of the technology that you see here, like these markup languages listed here, like RSS, markup, XML, Mark XML, and so on, they have a DTD, which means they have a set of rules that have been defined. And if you want to use that Mark XML or RSS, you need to follow those rules. So you cannot create your own tags if you use one of these technologies. If you want to create a new markup language, then obviously you think about it and you create your own tags. But if you want to use these, then you need to follow the rules specified in their DTD. And to sum up, so XML is all about structure and content. Unlike HTML, that was mostly about appearance, how the content is presented on the browser so we can read it. So computer can parse and understand the content of XML because the tags have self-explanatory note, and there is also a DTD document that the computer reads and understands the elements and the data. It is independent from any software or hardware. It doesn't depend on the browser or the hardware or the applications. And it's very good for preserving data. Save once, use many times. And very good for exchange of data. Let me give you an example. For instance, this is a journal article from Journal PLOS. PLOS One is one of the most famous scholarly journals. And so the articles can be presented in HTML like you can see here. You can download a PDF, but PDF might be obsolete in 10 years time. So 10 years, all of the PDFs, what they're going to happen to them, we don't know. But this journal and a lot of other journals, they also publish their articles in XML format. And if you go to the XML, we can see a set of tags, for instance, about contributor. So we can see the name of the contributor, for instance, surname and given name of the author. We can see a section about abstract. An abstract has a few paragraphs and so on. So if we save the articles in XML format, in 20 years time, we can convert this XML file to any format that we want. But if we save all of the articles in PDF, then if in 10 years time PDF becomes an obsolete technology, we can't do much about it because it's very hard to change the PDF format to another format because the data is not separated from the software and application. But in XML it is. So we can easily write a piece of code to extract the information and content from this XML article and turn it to an HTML format, to a Word document, to a PDF, or any other format that we want. So we can save the article in this format once and use it many times for any purpose or any application for any software. The other thing is that we have a discussion and we have a lot of research about XML information retrieval. So if we feed this document into a database in XML, the database can easily parse this and we can retrieve information. And instead of retrieving the whole document, the whole article, if you're looking for a topic, then we can retrieve only, for instance, the methodology section of this article. This is not possible in HTML or PDF. But in XML, we can have a database, we search for a topic, for instance, for headache or for something for cancer, and then we can specify that I'm only interested in the methodology sections of the articles. And that's the power of XML, because it has nested and tree structure, so we can specify if we want information from only a specific element or part of the document. Thank you.